Just plugging everything in here. Running a little bit behind today. I had issues. I think sometimes when I go, I didn't pre-program the show. Hold on, let me put my microphone on. All right. Sorry about that, guys. But I didn't make a pre-programmed show, and so it just jumped right away into streaming. So YouTube is slightly different than Facebook. I'm still learning the ins and outs. But hey, we're all here. Thanks for tuning in. I made it, and so did you. I got an interesting show for you today. I want to talk a little bit about specifics of writing and some of these songs, and tell you a couple of things that I have in mind for future shows. So let's just get started with a little tune while we are all gathering. The first track I want to play, it goes back to my my third album, Ready to Play. And the track I want to play for you is the title track. It was originally called Radioactive, was my title. And the record label was somewhat skittish, thought it sounded too much like a possible terrorist attack or something. So we renamed it to Ready to Play. We came up with another title. And it was a very interesting album for me because the first album was such a huge success out of the blue. Pacific Coast Highway, Summer Nights, 2 #1 hits back to back, and I never had anything on the radio before that. So I felt under a lot of pressure writing this album, and I think it came out pretty good. But I remember it was very stressful. So this is the title track. Ready to Play. Check it out. Gotta first see. I'm still trying to get everything ready here. Click here, and then we should be playing. Yeah, we're running. All right. Yeah, I was thinking when it came out it will be a huge hit. It didn't do quite as well as my two songs before, Pacific Coast Highway or Summer Nights. It did go up in the charts. I think it was top 10, but didn't go to number 1. But the second song released for the record did very well, and there was Catnap, of course, also on the same album. But I said today we'll talk a little bit about writing, and I found some interesting tunes that I want to talk a little bit about the background, how these songs came about, and what I was thinking when I'm writing. I'm kind of like in the mood right now where I try to come up with new ideas. First of all, I'm kind of getting thirsty here, so cheers. I hope you guys have a good time. It's the weekend after all. And even with the terrorists, we still can afford a glass of wine, right? Cheers. So this next song I wrote in 1985. I know it because it's the year I came to the United States, and I went to Guitar Institute, and one of my guitar teachers was a fusion player who played with Chick Corea. His name was Frank Gambale, and he showed me a chord substitution for this chord progression. Something's wrong. This sounds a little bit too... I was here. That's better. And he said you could also play... I said, this kind of sounds nice. So I kind of played around with it. And I wrote this song pretty much on the guitar just like that. Let me put a little... Gotta need the click with it. So, for those guys who are watching this closely, I was struggling with my sound on this song, and that's also the reason why I was kind of like late starting today, or kind of challenged starting. I was programming some sounds into my Kemper guitar amp and trying to control it with MIDI, and somehow this whole thing freaked out, and I had to reboot, and some of the sounds I have saved did not come up the way they were supposed to. That can happen. So that's always the challenge. If you're running against this deadline, at 6 o'clock, I gotta go on. Oh no, everything freaks out. Happens just a few minutes before I go on, of course, right? But it's all good. This was cruising. It was a tour de force of players on this. It was who was playing? I think it was Abla Boreal on bass, Ronnie Foster on keyboards, Larry Dunn on the synthesizer. The background vocals, there was Ida Garrett and Shante Moore. So that was my first huge production. It's from the Blue Planet album. Looks like that. You can check out the record in my music store. You can actually listen to the whole album. That was my album before Pacific Coast Highway. That record did not do anything. It was one of these things. I got signed to a record label and they filed bankruptcy when it came out, and the whole thing went under just when the record was supposed to be released. So it was a big disappointment for me. Hey, only that was 95. It took me almost 10 years to do another record. You got to imagine those days recording an album was. It was 98 it came out, and then 2005 is Pacific Coast Highway, 2004, 2005. So it was quite a time in between, because I remember we paid like $2,000 to mix just one song, and you know, me just being a struggling musician, doing little sessions, teaching, just trying to get by in a foreign country and in Los Angeles here. It took me a while to come up with the money to do 12 songs like that. Pay the musicians, pay the studio, and I say just mixing alone. We were still recording half of it on 2-inch tape, and a roll of tape was $200 for 10 minutes of music. So it was, a lot of things changed. These days we have laptops that do everything, and it's so much easier and less financially involved to record these days than it used to be. But I cherish the lessons that I learned as far as, you know, recording technique and all that kind of stuff. And I'm still profiting from that, having actually worked at real studios, knowing how to get the sound, how to put the stuff on tape and get performances on and capture all that. Talking about the writing thing, another interesting song I came across and then I dug up today for you guys, is Red Wine and Sunsets. It's from the City Groove album. It's from this CD. And just from a writing point of view, it's pretty sophisticated song, in that it is basically a song in E minor, but then for the chorus it shifts to E major and then B major. And it gives this lift, a really nice feeling when you shift the key from a minor to a major for the hook. So listen for that when you listen for this track. So this is called Red Wine and Sunsets. Check it out. wasn't expecting a double chorus. Gotta work my way into this song. This is a track you really got to work on. You got to get yourself into with the changes and stuff I like. But it's really, you see that shift when it shifts from the minor to the major, and just the whole tonality changes there. It's a fun little track. And with the same talking, I have some other tracks I wanted to throw in there. That is, what do I have? Oh yeah, this one I wrote on the Up Close and Personal album. Now that record is kind of underrated. Didn't do very much on radio, but from a writing point of view, there's a lot of very interesting stuff on it. If you haven't checked it out, there's also my Santana, the Europa version is on that album. But this track is a minor blues. It's called Until I See You Again. And it just modulates. It modulates into 3 different keys. I was just really into writing and coming up with interesting changes in this album. I thought, and that's why I thought to bring this song up today. It starts like a blues, and when it turns around, it goes to like the bridge a little early the second time around. It almost sounds like now we're going to a different section, but it's really just the second half of the progression is shortened. This gives it a very interesting feel. It goes up a half step and goes up another half step and does a different thing, where I, stretch out a little bit more, and then it comes back to the original key. So a lot of modulations in this song. Check it out. This is called Until I See You Again. And I always say the trick is it's not supposed to sound like you're trying to contrive and make it more complicated for the purpose of being more sophisticated. It's got to feel natural, and I think this song, it works very well. Before I go there, though, real quick before I forget, got a couple dates coming up. Next weekend I won't be here. I will be in Vegas on Friday evening. I'm playing. I don't think I'll make it back in time to the show here. I'm playing at a speakeasy that did change the venue because they need a bigger place. It's now at 300 West Sahara in Vegas at Joel's, what's it called, Chop House. Yeah, a new location. So it's on my website. I think the picture I have here might have the old address, but if you go to my website, I updated the address correctly. And it's a happy hour, just a free little hang. I'm going to be there. Then 2 weeks after that, I'll be in South Carolina. Anybody out there, anybody from that area, South Carolina, East Coast, I'm going to be at Chase Lounge in Columbus. And then our Spaghettini tickets did go on sale already. Please make sure you come to that show. That's going to be my biggest show in the next couple of months. It's in May. And I have special guests fly in for this one, so some surprises here. Also, we are going to play the Oxnard Jazz Festival. That's in September, and we're doing 3 of the Nils that concert series, probably also September, October, and July. So new announcements will go up on my website shortly, as soon as I have the actual total details with exactly the date. But hey, back to music. Until I See You Again is the name of this track, so check it out. Shorter part coming on. Let's do this again. It goes right away at the change. Modulation. It's a fun track to play over. I mean, it goes all different places, and I find that interesting. I got another interesting track that's it's way different. This next track, first of all, let's have a little cheers toast. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm trying to make all this happen. Cheers. On a permanent basis. If I'm not out on the road, I'm doing this show here for you guys. Please, if you're so in doubt, put some money in the tip jar, or download yourself a CD, even better. You can do that all on my website, or you can just put some money in the tip jar, as I said. But I most prefer people downloading some music or buying concert tickets, coming to our shows, because I love, meeting you all in person. It's a cool thing. I mean, I started this during COVID, and it's really brought me a lot closer to the audience, and that's a fun thing about it, and that's why I keep going with it. This last track I was going to play for you guys is very different, and it just is one of these tracks that it's not for radio. It's really more like a movie soundtrack almost. It's a mood piece. And the reason I don't like some artists switching, they're just doing singles just to get some stuff on the radio. I still do albums because it allows me to add some other music on it that's not necessarily just tailored for radio. So you see and hear a little bit more of the depth and the ideas of myself, or any artist in general that you buy an album from. Ideally, it should be a little bit deeper and get you closer to what they're really all about and what they're doing. This track, Morning Light, it came it was on the What the Funk CD, and it is, as I said, it's really just a rubato, atmospheric kind of piece, and I got to experiment with some diminished scales and some other devices that I usually don't use that often, but here it's almost rubato. It doesn't really have a beat, even though halfway through the song some rhythms come in, but it has a very nice, relaxing kind of mood. That's why I'm Morning Light, something like first thing in the morning, sun comes up in the morning, that kind of vibe. So check it out. This is called Morning Light from the What the Funk CD, which is really very different than this song. The CD is very upbeat and funky. This song is not. But that's what I want to play for you today. Morning Light for you guys. Very different than my other stuff, isn't it? So you see, like I like different stuff. I like to experiment. I like to go a little bit deeper. That's why I always say you ought to get from an artist you like. You got to get the whole album if he has one or she has one, because you really learn a lot more about the different flavors of that artist. As just a radio single, so to speak. But anyway, so that's it for tonight. I will be back in 2 weeks. Please subscribe to the channel if you like the music. And I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. Next week I'll be in Vegas. And then I'll be back here. If you have any requests, please send me an email, Nils@nilsmusic.com. I mean, is probably the best way to reach me. All right, you guys take care. Have a good rest of the weekend. Love you guys, and until next time, peace.